Hello again. When the Russians attacked Ukraine, many people thought that the fighting would be over in a matter of weeks and that it would end with the government in Kiev toppled and perhaps some puppet of Putin's installed instead. Ukraine would be reduced once more to the status of a province of Russia. This didn't happen, of course, and very soon the war will enter its second winter, with both sides settled into trenches, just like the Western Front in the First World War. Again, this was not really what anybody expected. We thought it would be a fast-moving, dynamic affair with tanks sweeping across battlefields and helicopters hopping around all over the place. Nobody could possibly have foreseen that it would come down to infantry going over the top and charging through no man's land, just as they did at Passchendaele and the Somme. Still, one bright spot was that this was a nice local war, and best of all, it was a long way away from Western Europe and the United States. This meant that we could send weapons to Ukraine and use the fighting as a way to see how effective our missiles and tanks were against the Russian army. This would have been all well and good if it had been a swift little war, but of course it has not been. That is why Moscow's been attacked, and also why missiles have landed in Poland and Romania. There are now signs that the war might be causing violence even further away. Sudan is, of course, in flames, with a terrible civil war raging there, which is destroying the capital city, Khartoum. That's bad enough, of course, because all else apart it has created millions of refugees. Quite a few of whom are heading north now with a view to getting to Europe. The Wagner group of Russian irregular military forces is mixed up in the business, and now the Ukrainians have joined in. The latest report suggests that Ukrainian special forces are fighting in Sudan. I give a link in the description to this video to a news report about this. Meanwhile, on the edge of the Black Sea, where Russia and Ukraine are having naval skirmishes, Azerbaijan and Armenia are at each other's throats over the disputed territory of Nagorno-Karabakh. This now seems likely to die down, but it's symptomatic of what is happening across the world. There is an atmosphere of this being a good time to resolve a few long-standing grievances, as though perhaps some people feel that a little bloodletting would be no bad things. We saw this atmosphere in the 1930s, of course, with Germany seizing territory in the Sudetenland and, of course, the Anschluss, Italy invading Ethiopia, the Japanese invading Manchuria, and so on. This all ended in the Second World War, starting in 1939. Then there were the Balkan Wars, which rumbled on for years between 1900 and 1914, culminating in the First World War. I'm wondering if a similar thing might be on the horizon now. China is flexing its muscles and spoiling for a fight in the Far East, probably over Taiwan. It's a matter of time before Israel attacks Iran to knock out its nuclear facilities. And in Africa, almost every country in the centre of the continent has either had a military coup lately or is mired in a civil war. India and Pakistan are always on the verge of a quarrel. All the pieces are in place for a sudden eruption of violence across the globe. With the state of the world being as it is, we in this country are not insulated from any of this. The fighting in Sudan, in which both the Russians and Ukrainians seem to have had a hand, will have a definite effect upon Europe as refugees flee across the Mediterranean. We've already got tens of thousands of Ukrainian refugees in this country. When the Germans wished to seize part of what is now the Czech Republic, our Prime Minister at the time, Neville Chamberlain, said in a radio broadcast how horrible, fantastic, incredible it is that we should be digging trenches and trying on gas masks here because of a quarrel in a faraway country between people of whom we know nothing. That kind of attitude simply won't answer in the modern world. Much as some of us would like to dismiss the war in Ukraine, or Sudan for that matter, as a quarrel in a faraway country between people of whom we know nothing, that's no longer possible. Trouble in any part of the world touches us automatically. It's no good hearing the name of a place like Nagorno-Karabakh and assuming that what happens there is nothing for us to worry about. That's simply not how things are these days.